I'm joined now by Elizabeth Rivera-Hartling, who has just moderated a very in-depth session, almost 2 hours long, but really interesting, very technical as well. But anyway, look, what I want to ask you about is really the changing trends in the landing architecture. It seems that is changing. The traditional models are going away, and the new models of collapsing those different components is now coming forward. Tell me a little bit about that, and bear in mind that our audience is quite generalist, so try not to get too detailed.
Okay, I'll do my best. I think that it's a very good question, and it's actually probably summarizes the majority of the papers that were in the session quite well. I think that the overall theme is obviously around new cable builds and how that is changing the network architecture. So we had a paper discussing how open cables are being embraced in the industry and what that impact has on the network architecture at the landing station. We then had discussions about extending cable landing stations and the equipment terminal there into the POPs and into the data centers. And we also had conversations about how to take those new cables and the capacity that's enabled by those new cables, and how to share the costs of a new fiber pair across multiple cable owners.
Right, and what are driving these changes? Is it principally financial, or is it more control-based drivers, do you think?
Driving the changes in...
Driving the changes in the architecture that we see from this traditional model to new models.
I think it's largely coming out of a technology change. So it's the enablement of very high capacity fiber pairs with the new wet plant designs and the coherent technology that's taking advantage of that. And I think that that's driving new commercial models where the equipment is being extended further inland, as we discussed, and the amount of capacity that's available on those fiber pairs is more than some of the traditional carriers require for themselves. So there's now a lot of discussion about how to share the cost of that across those multiple owners. So I think that the drivers are coming out of a technological shift, which is turning into a commercial discussion on how to adapt to those changes and the new opportunities.
And lastly, where does your company, Ciena, fit in this?
Where do we fit? We fit everywhere. The cable station, the POPs, the data centers. No, we very much like to get involved in as much of the wet plant designs as we can, because that has a very significant impact on our technology and the performance capabilities of our technology. We are very strong supporters of open cables, of extending the terminal equipment into the data centers and into the POPs. We think there's a lot of advantages for our customers to be had taking advantage of that, and we want to ensure that we can assist them to make the right decisions along the way to take as much advantage of those assets as possible.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. After that 2-hour session, you must need a cup of tea, I think, by now.
That would be great. Yeah, thank you very much.
Go get one. Thank you.